What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo. And after the test that we did with Gnitz using the Imprint Stones, we took a double attack versus an HP stone versus a decreased enemy defense by 20% stone. And we found out, at least in the Spider Row, we know for single player or single character that the double attack was the best. It did the most damage out of all of them. But the thing about this stone is, whenever you use it in a team up, like say you're, for example, you're using an Immortal Dungeon, you'll apply this decreased enemy defense by 20% for 4 seconds upon laying an active skill on a 10-second cooldown against the Immortal Dungeon. And what that does is it actually weakens his defenses, and your other characters can actually do more damage. And somebody noted that in the comments, and I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and test it again in the Immortal Dungeon. And another thing that was brought to my attention was I was using the Akane set in the last video. Well, the Akane set actually creates a lot of extra RNG because of its effect, right? You always have the increased attack by 33%, but then you have this 30% chance to deal extra damage equal to 150% upon landing an active skill. That's the thing. Whenever this thing procs, you're going to do a lot more damage, but it's really RNG based. So I'm running with a Noah set on 2 characters because it's just a solid attack stat. You're just getting a solid 31% extra attack, and then it's just rest as super armor. No big deal. You know, the only variable that's going to happen here is like, you know, the critical rate, you know, this crit rate, you know, whenever he's doing more critical hits, he's going to be doing more damage. I mean, there's going to be a variable there. And then obviously the crit hits amongst the other characters. And as far as other characters on the team that we're going to be testing with, we're going to be using Orochi and Leona. And it really doesn't matter, in all honesty. I just want to, you know, this team just has a nice little synergy because they all benefit from BS Orochi's leadership. Leona does have the dot, but this is not, and I'm going to say this again, this is not the best team for Immortal Knix. This is purely a test to test the Imprint Stones on Gnitz to see if we're going to do more damage with the defense down stone, or if we're going to just do more damage having the double attack. And for Orochi, I am running the KS set. And the KS set also has no extra RNG. It's just a base of an increase to defense and attack based off defense. There's no additional proc as far as landing damage. So it's a great set to use for this. I'm just trying to decrease as much RNG as I can. Leona, the same thing. We just got a Noah set on her. And again, for Gnitz here, the first run we're just going to use the double attack, and then the next run we'll use this stone right here. And I'm going to try to play this exactly the same. Again, guys, there's always RNG factors whenever you're doing this. Depends on how many times you do your default. So that's something we're going to keep track of, how many times Gnitz does his default. You know, you can take a look at how often their skills are missing. All right, here we go. Let's go. I'm going to get behind him, try to attack. Guard, there we go. All right, let's go. And now we're just going to spam our skills. And once we finish spamming, we're just going to do the default. So that's one default right there. And obviously it misses because Immortal Knix just kind of runs all over the place. Now I'm just going to hold the button down so I keep attacking. And again, I'm going to try to play these exactly the same. But, I mean, seriously, you do have a lot of RNG in here. I'm going to go ahead and use my skills really quick. Default. So there's 2 defaults. Okay. I'm going to run back over here. And this is actually, I'm actually really curious about this. Now, I mean, again, you know, guys, depending on the run that you get, really does depend on how much damage you're going to do. It really does. Default. So that's the 3rd default. And I'm trying to get behind him or in front of him whenever I do that default in hopes to not miss. Now we can start spamming. Pretty cool that Leona's doing her 5PG. That's something else, by the way, guys. Now that Leona's doing her 5PG, it's actually stalling the timer. Get behind him, default. That's 4 defaults, and Leona did her 5PG. So we're just trying to keep track of all this. Come on, come on, come on. Get behind him. Another default. So that's 5 defaults right there. Oh boy, oh boy. Guard, okay, get behind him. And we'll have time to do one more default. And that's number 6. That's 6 defaults. And now Leona's doing her 5PG again. So she did it twice and we had 6 defaults. This is actually turning out to be a very, very good run. And now Orochi's doing his. I mean, yeah, it's... So 113 million. 113 million. And again, Leona did her 5PG twice. And Ginitz did his default 6 times. So yeah, that actually ended up being, even though it might not have looked like it, that was actually a pretty good run. So now we're gonna see what happens when we throw this stone on him. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, now we can spam away. Let's go. And I know this is kind of a time-consuming thing, but I'm just trying to see, like, over a time period, how much damage we can actually do. So there's 1 default. Okay. There's 2 defaults. And of course we're missing, of course. I try to line up Ginitz as best I can to make sure I'm hitting the boss, to make sure we're doing more damage. There we go, that's 3 defaults. And Leona hasn't even done 1 5PG yet. She just keeps doing her default finisher, and this is actually going to hurt us a lot because we're not delaying the timer. This is kind of the thing about doing these runs in Immortal Dungeon. There's just so much RNG, it's really hard to figure out what is the best. And that's why I like doing those tests in the Immortal, in Spider Robot. Now here we got 1 5PG, that's pretty good. Okay, so Leona's gonna do her 5PG once. All right, and okay, so that's number 5. We need to do 1 more default from Ginitz. And Leona needs to do her 5PG another time, in all honesty, for this to be the same. Okay, so that's 6 defaults from Ginnets. The same as the first run. All right, good, 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 good. Okay, so 99 million. 99 million, right? Well, we could just say 100 million, right? We could just say 100 million. But the thing is, you know, we did get into this default 6 times. We did it 6 times in the first run. Leona, she only did her 5PG once. If she would have done her 5PG twice, we actually would delay the timer a little bit more. In all honesty, I really think that these things are really too close to call as far as the defensive stone and the double attack stone. I actually think that you're actually much better off just to go with double attack stones if you can. There just isn't that much of a difference between them. I mean, if Leona would have done her 5PG in that second run, we would have done more damage. We'd probably been, you know, 110, 105, 110 million. Maybe it'd have been a little bit less than having a double attack stone. But again, there's so many different variables as far as crit hits, whenever you're actually hitting the boss, you know, he moves around a lot. There's just a lot of variables in there that can really make the difference as far as how much damage you're actually doing. But I don't really think that this stone is really helping out all that much. I think the double attack stone seems to be the best, which goes back to what I said in the original video. Whenever you pull for your stone from this selection box, just go for the PG stone. This is really the one that's going to make the difference. That's the one you really should be going for, at least in my humble opinion. So let me know how y'all feeling about this test. I do realize, again, there's just lots of variables in there, and it's really hard to say what's going to happen. But in 4 days, BS will be here. So make sure you keep saving those rubies, and let me know what you'd like to see next. And I do stream on Twitch Sunday through Thursday at 9 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.